content I'm covering. If it takes 2 hours, then we will have a 2-hour session, or else I will try to take at least 1 hour, 30 minutes session. So before I start my session, let me introduce myself, guys. My name is Kabir Sagar. I am working with Ashok IT right now as a MERN and mean stack trainer. And basically we call MERN and mean as a UI full stack, UI full stack. I basically handle both the batches at Ashok IT. I have around 8+ years of experience as a software developer. Right now I am working with one of the product-based company, which you might know about the Gigs for Gigs, as a full time. And apart from that, I have around 8+ years of experience as a software trainer. So I have worked with multiple platforms on EdTech, and I have trained people on MERN stack, mean stack. And right now I am working with Ashok IT. Okay, this is very short introduction about me, guys. Yesterday I have taken a workshop. On asynchronous programming in JavaScript. So this was his last session workshop or last workshop. Asynchronous programming in JavaScript. If anyone wants to attend, want to watch that video, then I will provide you the recording. So I'm going to provide you the recording of last workshop. Plus, I will provide you the notes as well. In the same way, today also I'm going to conduct the workshop on Git and GitHub. For that workshop also, recording will be available. Plus, I'm going to provide the notes. So before I start my session, let me show you the notes in which way I'm going to provide. So when it comes to notes, I'm going to provide the notes in a paint file format. Plus, I will provide the notes in PDF format. So let me just show those notes. So here, if you see, this is the Git and GitHub notes. So already I have created this entire notes. So this notes I am going to provide you after this session. Apart from that, yesterday also I have conducted the workshop. So that notes also I will provide. So these are the notes of last workshop. So that notes I am going to provide you. Plus paint files I will provide you. Whatever paint files I will create in the class, that paint files I will provide. So let me provide you the link of last session workshop that is on asynchronous. So let me add on the chat, guys. So if you want, you guys can save it. Okay, so it is on YouTube channel of Ashok IT. It's uploaded. So whenever you guys get the time, just try to watch that workshop. So if I click on that link, we are going to land on that YouTube channel. Got it, guys? And you will be able to see the notes. Here on this GitHub. So let me provide that GitHub link as well to you. So this is the workshop notes. So same GitHub notes also I will update here only. So if I click on that GitHub note, you will land on this particular page. Now here I have one folder repository called asynchronous programming. If you just double click on that, here you will find everything. That PDF I have updated here, and class paint file also I have updated, and some coding part we have done to understand it. So that code also I have updated here. So what you guys can do, the moment you reach on this page, if you want to download it, just click on this code option and then click on the download zip option. This repository or this folder will be downloaded in your system. So after today's session, same Git and GitHub notes also I will update here. So everybody save this link with you guys. Okay, just save this link, guys. In the same way, I have provided the YouTube link also. If you just click on that YouTube link, you will just land on this particular video. So this was the free workshop on asynchronous programming with JavaScript. So if you want, you can watch this workshop after your class. If you know JavaScript, okay? So you should have at least basic understanding of JavaScript to understand this concept. Yeah, so this is the information I just wanted to give because I think almost all the people joined in today's session also, the people who joined in the last session. So just I wanted to give that update. Yes, so let's start with our session. So in today's session, we are going to start with Git and GitHub. And in that, let's understand what is Git. What is Git? So before I explain what is Git, if any one of you know what is Git, then feel free to add your answers on the chat, guys. If you know what is Git, then feel free to add your answers on the chat. Anybody have the idea what is Git? Like let's assume that you are in the interview. People are asking what is Git. So how you are going to answer them? Whatever answers you know, you guys can express. Okay, I'm expecting some answers. Okay, let's see. We got some answers. Version control system to store the data. Nice, nice. So I got exactly accurate answer what I was thinking. Okay. So what is Git means? Git is a version control system. If someone asks you what is Git, the answer should be straightforward. That is, Git is a version control system. Version control system. Now, the moment you say version control system, now people are going to ask, what is version control system? What is version control system? That will be the next question to you. That will be the next question to you. What is version control system? So anybody knows what is version control system, guys? Anybody have the idea? What is version control system? So I'm going to teach you completely from basics, guys. Whatever things are required for a developer to work in the industry, exactly in that way I'm going to teach you. So let's assume that you have zero knowledge on the Git and you are attending this workshop. Then you should understand each and every point. And that is how I am trying to teach. Okay. So what is Git? Git is a version control system. Then people will ask, what is version control system? What is version control system? In that case, we can say that it is one of the software application. Apart from that, nothing. It is a software application. It is a software application which does some kind of job. Which does some kind of job. What is that job? We need to understand. Now, if you understand what job it does, it means you will understand what Git is going to do. So what is Git? Git is a version control system. And what is version control system? It is a software application. It is one of the software application. Or you can call it as a tool. Some people will call it as a tool. It is a software tool. Now, what is the use of this tool? What is the use of this software application? Why this software application was developed? Why this tool was developed? That is where the purpose of version control system comes into picture. Purpose of version control system. Like why we have to use this tool? What is the need of this tool? So anybody knows why we are using version control system or what is the purpose of Git? Here just I will add or Git. What is the purpose of Git or version control system? Why we are learning this? So once you learn Git, what you can do, that is what we have to know. That is what we have to know. What we can do, we should know. Then we have to learn how to do it. How to do it. So anybody have the idea, guys? Let's see what people are trying to explain. Maintaining the changes in application, track the code within the repository, code integration purpose. Nice. So a lot of answers I got, and whatever answers I got, almost all those answers are right. So what is the purpose of version control system or what is the purpose of Git means? It will help us. It will help us to track the changes that we do in our file over the time. What is the use of control system means? It tracks the changes that we do in the file over the time. That is the purpose of version control system. So what it does, it tracks the changes that we do in the file over the time. Now, what is the meaning of that? Let's try to understand. Let's assume that you have created a file. You have created one file. This is a file. Now, in this file, you have written some code. Let's assume that you have written some code. Like this, you have written some code. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then after some time, what you've done, you modified this file. After some time, you modified this file. So what you have done, already you have 4 lines of code in this file. So how you have modified? Let's assume that you have removed the line number 3. You have removed the line number 3. And right now your file contains only line number 1, line number 2, and line number 4. Because you have modified it. Now, whenever you modify your file, some way you have to remember it. After some time, if someone asks you what you have modified in this file, then you should be able to tell, I have removed the line number 3. Means you have done some changes and you need to track those changes. You need to remember those changes. What change you have done. So right now we have only 4 lines. You can remember it. But let's assume that your file contains 10,000 lines of code. And suddenly you have done lot of changes in that file. You have done around 500 lines of changes. Now you return 10,000 lines of code in a file. After some time, maybe after some days, you have done lot of changes in those files. Now, if suddenly someone asks you, what changes you have done? Can you explain me? Can you show me? Then it will be very difficult for us to show those changes. If suddenly someone asks you the moment we change it, or maybe after 1 or 2 days, then we can show them. We might show them. But after 15 or 20 days, if someone asks you that before 15 days, you done some changes in that file, right? So what changes you done? Where you have done? Can you explain me? Can you show me? In that case, we will block. What we need to do then, we need to analyze our code. And it will take lot of time. It means whenever you are going to do the changes in your file, now remembering those changes will be very difficult for us. So as a developer, it's difficult. It's difficult to remember what changes we have done across our file. Exactly where we have done, on which line number we have done, what changes we have done. That is very difficult to remember. That is the reason we required one software. Now, this software should be responsible for tracking those changes. Means whenever you do some changes, then this software should remember that. Even after 3 months, if you ask this software on that particular day, what changes I have done, can you tell me? Then this software should be able to tell you. And that is what your version control system is. In short, we are going to say VCS. So version control system is a tool or a software that tracks the changes that we do in the file over the time. Over the time means today you done some changes. After 2 days, you will do some changes. After 5 days, you will do some changes. After 10 days, you will do some changes. Now, whatever changes you have done, it should be able to track. So over the time means this one only. After 2 days, you done some changes. After 5 days, you done some changes. After 7 days, you done some changes. Means over the time, you are doing some changes. Now, whatever changes you are doing, it should track it. It should keep the copy. On 2nd day, you done these changes. On 5th day, you done these changes. On 10th day, you have done these changes. That is the meaning of tracks the changes that we do in the file over the time. Okay, so in short, we can say that or in simple words, we can say that Git is a software which keeps, which keep or which tracks changes that we do in the file. File means it can be any file. It can be any file. It can be text file. It can be HTML file. It can be CSS file. It can be Java file. It can be C# file. It can be JS file. It can be any file. Understood, guys? What is Git and what is the purpose of Git? These 2 points should be clear to you right now. What is Git and the purpose of Git? Okay, let me know, guys. Is it clear? Yes, no. So just have a look on this. So what is Git? Git is a version control system. Version control system is a software or tool. It tracks the changes that we do in the file over the time. Now, to work with this Git, we have to install this Git in our system. To work with the Git, we have to install the Git in our system. To work with the Git, we have to install the Git in our system. Now, how to install the Git in our system? Now, it's very, very, very simple. Go to your browser. And just search for Git download. And press on enter button. Press on your enter button. Then you will see the first website, that is git-scm.com. Just go and click on that download. Click on that link. Now, based on your operating system, download the installation file. Download the .exe file. Now, I am using Windows, so I will click on this download. Or else here you will have the suggestion. Just click on that download. Now, here it is asking 32-bit or 64-bit. Right now, it's 64-bit. I will just click on that 64-bit. Now, it is going to download .exe file. So what you guys have to do now? First, visit the git-scm.com website. Second, click on download button. It will download .exe file. Once it is downloaded, go to that downloads. Let it download. Now see here, it is downloaded. Git-2.48.-1. Now just double click on that. Nothing but you have to open that file. .exe file, once it get downloads, you have to open that file. Just say yes. Now it will open one pop-up for you. What you need to do? Just you have to click on this install button. It will take some time. It will ask some options and it's very, very simple installation. Next, finish. No need to do any kind of extra configuration. Already I have installed Git in my system, so I'm not installing it. So what is the third step you have to do? Once it is downloaded, install it. And I hope everybody knows how to install software applications, okay? I am not showing you the entire process of installation. I expect as a software developer, we should know at least how to install softwares. Okay, I just don't want to waste my time in showing all that installation process. noting down each and every step. That just makes bore to us because everybody knows almost how to install it. So to work with Git, we have to install a Git. We have to install the Git. The moment you install the Git, with this Git installation, you will get a software called Git Bash. You will get a tool called Git Bash. A Git Bash tool will be installed for the Windows people. Now, what is this Git Bash? It is a terminal. It is a simple terminal like our command prompt. On this tool, we can add some commands. So if you install your Git on your system, you are going to get this icon. Git Bash icon you will get. Now, Git Bash is one of the tool using which we can add some commands. So this tool will be installed the moment we install the Git. Okay. So this is a very simple installation process, guys. A very simple installation process. Now, let's understand more about Git. Exactly how Git works. So right now, let's assume that we are a developer. Now we have installed a software called Git. Now, as a developer, you have to tell to this Git, hey Git, whatever changes I will do, you track it. Now, how to tell to the Git? For that, we have to use some commands. You are developer, you are human. Git is a software. Now you have to tell to the Git to track your changes. Now, how you will tell? For that, we have to use some commands. And to use this command, we required one tool. And that is what? Git Bash. For Windows platform, we required a tool called Git Bash. We can use command prompt also. But Git Bash is much more better than that. And the people who are working on Mac, so directly they can execute all the Git commands in their terminal. Directly they can open the terminal in MacBook and they can execute all the commands of Git on that terminal. And as a Windows developer, we can use command prompt, or anyways we are going to get this tool called Git Bash. We can use this tool. So using this tool, we are going to give the commands to the Git. Okay, now we need to understand how to work with the Git. To work with the Git, we have to follow certain process. What is that process? The first step is we have to create a folder. The first step is we have to create a folder. And this folder, we can call as a working directory. Whatever files we are going to create, we will create that files in this folder only. All our files we will create here. Files are created here. Okay, so let's do with this step practically now. Let's go to your any drive. Okay, I'm going to explain you each and everything with theoretical and practical way. Let's go to any folder. Now here I am creating one simple folder, something called Git. Now in this folder, I want to create a file. So how to create file? For that, Directly, you can click on this, right click, and you can just click on new, and you can select text file here. I am creating one text file, something called doc1.txt. So what I have done now, if you see, I have created one folder. In that folder, I have created one file. I have created one simple file. And that file name is doc. That file name is doc1. Now in this file, I will write one line of code. In this file, I will write one line of code. So let's go back to that file. Let's open that file and let's write one line of code. Hello. This is my first line. This is my first line. Save your file. Save your file. Now what we want as a developer, we want to track this file. We want to track this file. But manually, we don't want to track. We want to tell to the Git, hey Git, you track this file. But before telling to the Git, you track this file, first we have to tell to the Git, you track this folder. You track this folder. Now, how to tell to the Git that you track this folder? For that, we have to initialize. We have to initialize something called repository. We have to convert this folder. We have to convert folder into something called repository. Repository. So repository is nothing but it is a Git term. It is a Git term. It is Git term. So basically, creating repository is nothing but we are telling to the Git, hey Git, you track this folder. Whatever folder I have created here, whatever folder I have created, you track this folder. Now, how to tell to the Git, you track this folder? For that, we have to initialize repository. We have to convert this folder into repository. Now, how to convert? For that, open this folder. Open this folder in Git Bash. Open this folder in Git Bash or open this folder in your terminal. To open this folder in Git Bash, just right click, go to the show more option and select this option, open Git Bash here. Now you will see that your folder is opened in the Git Bash. This is the Git Bash user interface. This is the Git Bash user interface. Now we have to tell to the Git, you track this folder. You initialize this folder as a repository. How to tell? For that, we have a command called git init. Git init. The moment you type this command, it means you are telling to the Git, hey Git, you track this folder. You track this folder. And just press on enter button. Now it will give a message like initialized empty Git repository. Empty Git repository. So the second step here is create a file. Third step, initialize the Git repository. Now, what is the meaning of initializing the Git repository? Basically, we are telling to the Git track my folder, track my folder. We are not telling to track our file. First, we are telling track my folder. Now, how to tell to the Git track my folder? For that, we are going to use the command git init. Okay, now understand the process, guys. First, we created one folder. In that folder, we created one file. We wrote some code, some line in that. We have added some content in that file. Now we have to tell to the Git, hey Git, you track this folder. Now, how to tell to the Git, you track this folder? For that, we have to convert this folder into repository. We have to convert this folder into repository. What is repository? Repository is nothing but a folder which is tracked by Git. What is repository? Repository is a folder. It is a folder which is tracked by Git. Which is tracked by Git. Means Git is tracking this folder. Now Git will come to know what we are adding in this file, what we are removing in this file, what are the things we are updating in this folder. Everything Git will come to know. So repository is a folder which is tracked by Git, So people will ask in interviews, do you know how to create repository? Do you know how to create repository? We have to say yes. How? Just open your folder in Git bash or maybe in any terminal and just use the command git init. The moment you use the command git init, your repository will be created. Repository is nothing but same folder. Now this folder is tracked by Git. The moment your folder is tracked by Git, we are going to call that folder as a repository. Yeah. Now, can you guys tell me what is the difference between folder and repository? What is the difference between folder and repository? If you understood what is repository and folder or whatever I have explained till now, you should be able to answer this. What is the difference between folder and repository? Yeah, guys, tell me what is the difference between folder and repository? Anybody knows? It is normal folder. It is a normal folder, or it is a folder which is not tracked by Git. It is not tracked by Git. Folder which is not tracked by Git is called normal folder. What is repository? Folder tracked by Git. Tracked by Git. That's it. This is the difference. This is the difference. See now practically again. I am creating one folder here. I am saying my folder. My folder. Now tell me, this is called normal folder or it is called repository? Can we call this as a folder or should we call this as a repository? My folder. Should we call this as a folder or we should call it as a repository? Yes, it's a normal folder. But I want to make this folder as a repository. What we need to do to make this folder as a repository? Open this folder in your Git bash and just type the command git init. So we are converting normal folder to repository. The moment you type this command, now your folder converted into repository. So repository is nothing but folder only, but tracked by Git. Now how Git will come to know whether this is like, or how we will come to know whether this folder is tracked by Git or not tracked by Git? So that by seeing one hidden folder called .git. Inside your folder, if you see one subfolder called .git, if this folder is present, then we can say that this is a repository or this folder is tracked by Git. If you don't find this folder, which folder? .git, it means it is not a repository. It is not tracked by Git. And it is called hidden folder, guys. It is a hidden folder. So if you want to visualize your hidden folders, click on this view, then click on this show, and then you will have the option of seeing that. So let me just show here. Click on the view option, click on the show option. Here you will have an option called hidden items. If I uncheck it, you will not be able to see. If I want to see whether I have any hidden folders in my folder, then click on view, click on show, then click on these hidden items. It will show all the hidden items to you. So inside your folder, if you find .git folder, it means it is a repository. If you don't find this folder, it means it is not a repository. It is not a repository. Understood? How to identify whether your folder is tracked by Git or not tracked by Git? So if you find this folder, it means your folder is tracked by Git. If you don't find this folder, it means it is not tracked by Git. See, the moment I create here one more folder, dummy. And if I open this folder, Nothing is present here. It's like a empty folder. This folder is empty. So this is not a repository. This is not a repository. But the moment I open this in my git bash, and if I use the command git init, and if I go back and check, I will find that folder .git. The moment you find .git folder, now you can say that it is a repository. It is a repository. Okay, guys, understood up to here? Okay, I'm going very, very slow, explaining things multiple times so that you guys should understand clearly everything. And trust me, guys, Git will confuse a lot. Lot of people gets confused with Git. It's very easy, but lot of confusions will come because people don't know exact process. That is the reason confusion will come. If you know the process, you will never get confused with Git. Okay. Now, as a developer, you told to Git, a Git, you track this folder. Now, in that folder, you created one file. So here, if you see in the Git folder, I have created one file called doc1. Now I have to tell to my Git, a Git, you track this file also. You track this file also. So by default, your Git will not track the content of your repository. By default, Git will not track the content of repository. Content means it can be subfolders, it can be files. So by default, your Git will not track this file. It will track only this folder, but it will not track this file. Now we have to tell to the Git, hey Git, you track this file which is present in your repository. How to tell? For that, we have to move our file to an area called staged area. We have to move our file to an area called staged. So here I will write the sentence, move file to the staged area. So this is a logical area. This is a logical area which Git is maintaining. Internally, Git is maintaining. So what we need to do, we have to move our file to the staged area. Nothing but we have to tell, hey Git, track my file called doc1. Now how to tell to the Git? For that, we have one command called git add your file name. Git add your file name. This is the command we have to use. So next step, fourth step. Track the files of the repository. Nothing but in brackets, I will say move file to staged area. How to do? For that, we have to use the command git add your file name. But before telling to the Git to track our file, let's see what is the current status. So let me close all this. If I use here a command called get status, it will show the current status. Now, if you see, the current status is untracked files. So basically, Git is saying that I am not tracking this file. Which file? doc1.txt. This is the current status. But we have to tell to Git, you track this file. How to tell? Git add your file name, doc1.txt. Now again use git status. Now see, here we got green color. Green color means now Git is tracking your file. Git is tracking your file. Okay. So now here see git status. If I say, you will get that green color. If you get this green color, it means your file is tracking by Git. Git is tracking your file. Now see the flow. Here. You are a developer and you have here Git. you have here Git. Now, as a developer to the Git, first you have to tell track folder. How to tell track folder? For that, you have to simply use the command git init. You have to simply use the command git init. Next, you have to tell track the file in the folder or repository. How to tell? For that, you have to use the command git add file name. That's it. File. This is what you have to tell. Track the folder, then you have to tell track the file in the repository. Now third we have to say save the current what we can call like I can say current copy of my file. Save the current copy of my file as a version 1. Save the current copy of my file as a version 1. Now what I want to do, whatever content I have written here in my file, I want to save it. I want to tell to the Git, hey Git, you save this copy in your repository, in your space. Now, whenever I ask, you should give this copy to me. Now we have to tell, save this copy, save the current copy of my file as a version 1. How to tell? For that, we have to commit. We have to do the commit. Committing is nothing but we are saying to the Git, hey Git, right now I created one file. I written some content in that. Now this current status you save as a version 1. Or current copy of my file you save as a version 1. And technically, the current copy of the file we call as a snapshot. Means take the snapshot of my file and save it like a version 1. How to tell? For that, we have to use the next command. That is the 5th command. Commit the changes. We call it as a commit the changes. For that, we have to use the command git commit -m and some message. You have to add some message. So what you are saying, for what purpose you are saving, that message we have to add here. So by seeing this message, now anytime you will come to know, acha, why you have saved the copy of this file as a version 1. Just for our understanding sake, our future understanding, we are adding this message. Now what we have to do, go here, just use the command git commit -m and just add message. I will say added line 1 in doc 1.5. Just any message you can add. So git commit -m in double quotes, we have to add message and press on enter button. So now the copy of the current file, is saved as a version 1. So if you see, the flow is something like this now. First, we have created a folder. Then we told to the Git, track the folder. For that, we have initialized repo. We have initialized repository. Then we told to the Git, track my file. So this process is called staging. And then we told, save the copy of current file. Save the copy of current file status or current file. This is what we call as a commit. This is what we have followed. So here, this is our step 1. Then step 2, step 3, step 4. Yes, session recording will be available, guys. Okay, don't worry. Session recording will be available. Understood? So can we try this entire process one more time from the scratch to end? Okay. So let's talk like a human to the Git. So as a developer, you will tell to the Git what we are going to say. Let's write down all those steps. Okay, our understanding will be little more strong if you do same task multiple times. So let's do same task from scratch to end, last and final time. Now, first step, we will create one folder. We will create a folder. And this folder is called working directory. We call this as a working directory. So let's create one folder. So here, let me go back. Let me create one folder here. I will just give some name like practice Git. Then we have to tell to the Git. Second step, tell to Git, track my folder. How to tell to the Git track my folder? For that, we use the command git init. So open your folder in Git bash and tell to the git init. Now empty repository is created. Nothing but your folder is tracked by Git. Now Git is tracking your folder. Third, create a file. Third step, create a file. Create a file in the repository. So let's go to our repository and let's create one file here. So here I am creating one file. Normal text file I will create. I will say something called text document. In that, let's add some content. I will say welcome to Git session. Save your file. So create a file in the repository. Done. Fourth step, tell to the Git, track my file. Now we have to tell to the Git, track our file. But let's check whether we are tracking our file or not. For that, just use the command git status. You will get here red color. Red color means your file is not tracking by Git. But we have to tell to the Git, track my file. How to tell to the Git? Git, add your file name. So text document dot txt. The moment you add this command, your file will be tracked by Git. So go back here, track my file. How to tell? Git, add file name. Now we have to say to the Git, you save the current copy of my file. Save the current copy of the file. Save the current copy of the file. How to tell? By committing it. How to commit? For that, simply we have to use the command git commit -m and some message. Now go back here and just say git commit -m. I will say added line 1. That's it. You saved the copy of your file. These are the steps we follow. Yeah. Let me know on the chat, guys. Till here, have you understood or not? If you understood, just type 1. If you did not understand, type 0. If you got confused, type -1. -1 for confused, no for didn't understand, and 1 for you understood or you understand. Okay, just use logical way to answer. Don't use push right. Guys, don't use same process we have to use in the Mac also, guys. There is no difference in the process. In Mac also same process. Mac or Linux or Windows, the process is same. The process is same. Okay, once you have installed, then process is same. Okay, now let me do some changes. Let me do some changes here. Now in this file, I am doing some changes. Like I am adding second line. I will say hello git, hello git dudes. I have done some changes in my file. Now go to the git bash here and now check this status. Check this status. What I have done here, guys, now I have done some changes, means I have added new line here called hello git dudes. Now let's check our status. The moment I check my status, it is saying that modified. What modified? Now this file got modified. This file got modified. What you have done? You have done some changes. Now you have added this line. Now you have to tell to the Git, hey Git, whatever changes I have done, you track those changes. We have to tell, hey Git, you track these changes. I know you are tracking this line in this file. Now you track this line also. We have to tell to the Git. Now how to tell to the Git? You track this line. For that, again, we are going to use this command. What is that command? Git add and your file name, that is text document.txt. Now check git status. Now see, you got green color. It means now whatever changes you done, now that changes also tracked by Git. Now we have to say, now save the copy of your file. Now save this copy of the file as a version 2. As a version 2. How to tell? For that we have to commit. Git commit -m. I will say added second line. Done. Now if you see internally what Git is doing now, just try to understand the process, guys. You created one file and the name of this file you have given something called text document. And now initially you wrote line number 1. Then you wrote something called line 2. Then you wrote line 2. And you are telling to the Git, now maintain the copy. You maintain the copy of this file. How many copies? 2 copies. Now what Git is doing internally? It is maintaining the 2 copies of this file. In first copy, you have only one line. You have only one line. In second copy, now in second copy of your file, you have 2 lines, not one line. It will maintain the 2 lines, line 1, line 2. So this is the version 1. This is the version 1 of the file. This is the version 2 of the file. 1 and this is 2. Now internally what Git did, it created one ID for this version. It created one ID for this version. We call it as a hash ID. Internally, Git is creating one more unique hash ID for this version also. So let's assume that this is hash ID 2. Now I want to check this IDs. What are those IDs? I want to check those IDs. Now how to check those IDs? For that, we have to use the command called git log. Now this command will give you the information of all your versions. How many versions you created, how many times you have committed, what is the hash ID for those commits. Just see here, The moment I go here, let me clear everything. Now just use git log. The moment you see here you are getting two things. This is the latest commit. This is the ID of the latest commit. That is second. This is the first commit. Who committed? Kabir. What is the email ID here? When it was committed on Sunday, March 16 at this time. When second was committed, same on Sunday, March 16, but at this time. At this time. It means your Git is maintaining the versions of your file. It is maintaining who committed that file. It is maintaining on which day it was committed, on which date it was committed, and at what time it was committed. So if you see, it is maintaining the day, it is maintaining the day, month, your time, your year, author, is email ID, and one ID. So all these informations are maintained. Like this, how many times you will commit, that many versions will be created. Like this, I can create any number of versions of my file. I can create any number of versions of my file. Let's create one more version. So here I will add one more. I will say adding third line in the file. Now I want this should be one more version. So what we need to do for that? The same thing. First we have to use git add, then commit. Here I will change the message to the third line. Now 3 versions are created. One more version is created. Now in this version, you have 3 lines. 1, you have 2, you have 3. And for this also, one hash ID is created. Hash ID is created. One hash ID is created. Okay. Now if you see here, you have 3 versions of your file. Version 1, version 2, version 3. Version 3. This is version 2 and this is version 3. Now in version 1, how many lines we have in this file, guys? In version 1, how many lines we have? In version 1, how many lines we have? In version 1, how many lines we have? Yes, exactly one line. Exactly one line. In version 2, how many we have? 2 lines. In version 3, how many we have? 3 lines. What is the latest version? What is the latest version? This one, right? This third one is the latest version. So if I go to my folder and if I open this file, you will find 3 lines. 1, 2, 3 lines you will find. You will find the 3 lines. Now suddenly suppose I want this copy. I want to ask Git, give me this copy because you are saving this version, right? Saving this file as a version 1. So I want this file. I want exactly what content I wrote in this file. I want to know that. So right now my file contains this code. This is the latest code, but I don't want latest code. I want the code what I written in my version 1. How to tell to the Git? For that, we have to use one more command. And that command is git checkout, and your commit ID. Your commit ID. You have to pass your commit ID. The moment you use this command, what your Git is going to do, it will show you the first version. Instead of showing the third version, it will show you the first version. It means in your file, you will see only one line of code. Let's see here. So let's first get the all the IDs. So we have these 3 IDs. I want the first ID. So I will copy this. No need to copy all. Just copy at least few characters. And then just use here command git checkout. You have to use the command git checkout space your commit ID. Now it is saying that switching to this ID. Now go and open your file. Go and open your file. Now you will see that you have only one line. You have only one line. See, in my file, I have only one line because it is showing us the copy one. It is showing us the copy one. Suppose you don't want copy one, you want copy two. Let's close this. Let's go to the git. I don't want copy one. I want copy two. First, let's get that ID. Git log, if you say, here it is showing this only. So let me just get here. Just give me a minute, guys. Here we have, now we want the first copy. This one we want. So if you see right now, it is showing this one. But now we want this copy. So if you see here, the moment I say git log, it is giving which one, which commit ID? The current one. It is showing us the current one. But we want to go to the initial one. See here. So if I open this repository once again in git bash, let me show you this part. Which is showing again the current one. Now I want to navigate to the second one, this one. How to navigate? How to navigate? How to navigate? So let me close this. Yeah, let's come back here. Let me open. Now we are in this ID. Now here, the moment I say git log, it is showing the current one. How to copy means just select this one and you have to copy. Select, right click, you will get the option copy. Select like this, just you have to say right click and copy. It will be copied. How to move get checkout, and we have to add that ID. It will move to that particular ID. Already we are in that only, that we are getting. So if you see here, the moment I open that, you got the line one. Now I want my previous one. So for that, let me just go to first master branch. Now here, let me clear this. Git log, let me say, let me get the ID of the second one. Let me clear. Let me say git checkout, pass that one, paste it. Now we got second one. Let's open our file now. Now you should get 2 lines. Now see, you got 2 lines. Okay. So now let me show you what I have done. Let me explain you what I have done. Okay, understand this. Initially, we created one file. We created one file. This was our file. In this file, we wrote one line of code. We wrote one line of code. Then we told to the Git, hey Git, you save this current copy of my file as a version 1. So what Git did, it saved the copy of this file as a version 1. Okay, I will add here version 1, which contains only line 1. Then we modified this file. We modified this file. We have added second line. And now this file contains line 1, line 2. Again, we told to the Git, hey Git, you copy the current status of my file as a version 2. So what your Git did, it just copied the current status of your file as a version 2. And in that current status, you have two lines, line 1, line 2. Then what you done, you have added third line. Now what your Git is doing, Git is saving this current status of the file as a third version, as a version 3. As a version 3. So till here, everybody understood. 1, 2, 3. Now current status of the file is this one. Now this is our version 3. This is our version 2. This is our version 1. This is our version 1. And this is called master. This is master file. Master file. Now always it will show the current version. Always it will show the current version. But what we don't want to see the current version. We want to see the version 1. We want to check the version 1. So we know that whenever these versions are created, for every version IDs are created. For every version IDs are created. For every version IDs are created. So let's assume that ID1, ID2, ID3. Now we have to tell to the Git, show me the version 1. How to tell to the Git, show me the version 1? For that, we are using the command git checkout ID1, and press on enter button. The moment you add this, you are able to see the version 1. You are able to see the version 1. Now version 1 is visible to us. Now from version 1, I want to check version 2. Now how to check version 2? For that, again, we have to use the command git checkout ID2. If you remember ID2, directly add ID2. Just add this command, you will be switched to version 2. Suppose you are not remembering this ID. In that case, what you do? First, you go to master. You go to the master. And then here you type git log. You will get all the commit IDs. Then pick the second version commit ID. And then use the command git checkout your ID2. Then you will be switched. To version 2. And that is what I have done. Let me show again. Let me go to the Git. Let me clear all this. Git checkout. Let me say master. Clear. Yes. Now we are in the master. So whenever we are here in the master, always it will show the current version. So the current version is third one. So if I go back here and let's check, you have 3 lines. You have 3 lines here. 1, 2, 3. But I don't want to check the third version. I want first version. For that, we required ID. So git log. So we got here version 3, version 2, version 1. I want version 1. Copy this ID. At least copy some characters. If you want to copy entire thing, you can copy. Or else even if you copy few characters, your Git will recognize it. So select it, right click, select copy. Now this ID got copied. Now what you need to do? Git checkout version 1 ID, you paste it. Directly paste. No need to add double quotes also. Even if you add double quotes, nothing wrong. Press on enter. Now you are switching to version 1. Let's go and check our file. Now it has only one line. Now I want to move to version 2. What we need to do? Now, if you remember your ID, that ID, simply use git checkout and you paste your ID too. If you remember that ID, simply paste git checkout ID too. You will move to version 2. Suppose if you did not remember ID and if you try here git log, then it will show only version 1 ID because you are in the version 1, right? So it will show only that ID. Here we are not getting the version 2 ID. So what we need to do for that? For that, first you go to the master. First you go to the master, git checkout master. Then do the git log. Now you will get this commit. Now copy this ID, clear, and then say git checkout your ID 2. Now you switch it to version 2. Go and check your file. Just open. You should see only 2 lines. See, only 2 lines we have. You have only 2 lines. Understood, guys? How to get our versions? How to get our versions? Have you understood? Yes, where we get the version IDs? That using git log you will get. If you say git log, it will show you the versions of all your IDs. Yeah. Now let's assume that you have version 1, you have version 3. Okay. This is version 1. This is version 3. Now in this, you wrote only 1 line of code. Here you written 3 lines of code. Okay. Let's assume that this is our version 3. Now I want to identify what changes I have done from version 1 to version 2. I want to find what changes I have done from version 1 to version 2. Sorry, version 1 to version 3. Or maybe let's assume that you created lot of versions. Version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5. Like this, let's assume that you are maintaining 50 versions. Now you want to check in the version 30 to version 50, what changes I have done. I want to compare version 30 and version 50. What changes I have done from version 30 to version 50. Or I want to check what changes I have done from version 1 to version 3. How to do? For that, we have a command called git difference, nothing but diff. Then you have to pass the commit ID version 1 and commit ID version 2. You have to pass the commit ID version 1 and commit ID version 3 in our case. Whichever commits or whichever versions you want to compare, those IDs we have to pass. So in our case, we are comparing 1 and 3. So let's go back here. Let's clear everything. Let's move to the master first. Clear, get log. Let's copy these IDs. Okay, let me just minimize. Yeah. So here we have the version 3, version 1. I want to compare version 1 and version 3. So here git diff space the commit ID of first version, paste here, and then space, copy this and paste here. Press on enter. Now it will show what changes you have done. See here. So initially, welcome to Git session. This was the line in the version 1. And then what you did in version 3, you added this much line. You have added, you maintained this as it is. Welcome to Git. Then you have added hello Git dudes and you have added third line. Means you are adding this many things in the version 3. So this red one is your version 1 and this green color is your version 3. So it will show you the difference. So from version 1 to version 3, you have done addition of lines. You did not remove the existing line. In existing code, you have added the new code. That is what it is saying us. That is what it is saying us. Now let's suppose I am removing this content. I am adding new content here. Save it. Now let's go to the Git. Let's clear all this. Let's ask to the Git track the new changes and save it as a version 4. I will say 4th version. Now if I say git log, we should get 4 IDs now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to compare first line and 4th line. Or maybe 3rd and 4th I want to compare. So what we need to do? Let me clear all this. Let me say git log. And let me use the command git difference. Let's compare our 3rd version. And let's compare 4th version. What changes we have done from version 3 to version 4. Now, if you see in version 3, you add this line, then you add one more line. Now in version 4, what you did, you removed this line. Red color means you removed that line and you added one more line, this line. It means version 4 contains this both lines, plus you removed this line and you added new line. Red color means removed. Green color means you added. White color means this line are present in both the version. 3rd version also, 4th version also. White color means this is present in the both the versions. Red means this is present in the 3rd version but removed in the 4th version. Green means present in the 4th version but absent in the 3rd version. So using Git, you can compare 2 versions also. So what are the changes from version 1 to version 2? Understood, guys? So what are the commands we know right now? We know how to initialize the Git, that is git init. We know how to ask Git to track our files, that is git add and your file name. We know how to tell to the Git, you save the current copy of my file as a version 1, that is git commit. We know how to check. All the hash IDs, all the IDs of our commit. We know how to switch to a particular version of our file, that is using checkout and ID. We know how to find the difference between our versions. ID1, ID2. ID1, ID2. These are the commands we have used. And there is one more thing, guys. Whenever you are committing first time, whenever you are committing, your Git will ask you your information. Like, who are you? So we have to tell to the Git, hey Git, my name is this one. Hey Git, my email ID is this one. So directly it will not allow you to commit when you are doing first time. So what you need to do, you have to tell about yourself. You have to give your information to the Git. And how to give our information to the Git. Anybody knows how to give our information to the Git? Anyone have the idea about it? Like if someone knows about Git, they might know how to give our information to the Git. Okay. So I think I got a lot of answers. Nice. Almost I got the answers. So for that, you have to tell like this: git config hyphen global space user dot name. Then you have to add your name, your name. This is the command you have to use. And in the same way, you have to configure your email ID also. Same, git config hyphen global user dot email and your email ID. Your email ID. Remember, whenever you are trying to commit first time, it will not allow you to commit. It will ask you, who are you? What is your name? You are asking me to save it, but who are you? That is how Git is asking to us. So now we have to tell our name and our email ID to the Git. Now Git will keep track who is saving these versions. So any day if you ask the Git, who saved this version, who created this file, who wrote this code, who done changes, that if you are asking to the Git, now Git should have the answer, right? Who done all those changes? So for that, Git is asking our name and email ID. That's why if you see when I did git log, it is giving me my name also, my email ID also. Okay. So when you are trying first time, it will ask you to give your name, and this is how you have to give. Clear guys up to here? Yes, sessions recording will be made available, guys. Don't worry. On the Ashok IT YouTube channel, this video will be updated. Okay, from there you can access it. Okay, now this is our GitHub workshop day 1 or part 1, I can say. Part 1, whatever we learned. Now we have GitHub workshop part 2. That is next week, next Sunday. Next Sunday. Right now we have just learned Git only. We did not introduce GitHub. And what is the difference between Git and GitHub? I did not introduce. And there is a concept of branches. There is a concept of merging. There is a concept of conflicts. What are all those? We are going to understand in the version 2. Nothing but part 2. In the part 2. That will be the next Sunday, guys. Next Sunday. And just for the sake of information, I am starting React.js batch with JavaScript and TypeScript from tomorrow. At 8:30 a.m. and which will be offline plus online mode, which will be in the offline and online mode. If anybody is interested to learn React.js with JavaScript and TypeScript completely from zero, then you guys can attend this batch. We will have 5 demo sessions. So you can attend those demo sessions freely. And if you feel that, yes, you want to learn, then you can go through this. And the details of this batch you will find here. So let me give the details of that batch, like meeting ID, all that. So if you want, you can register yourself right now. This is the details of the batch, guys. Okay, this is the details of the batch. And the course content, let me give the course content also. So this is the course content of React JS with TypeScript and JavaScript. So here I am going to start JavaScript completely from zero. So if you think that you don't know JavaScript and TypeScript, then you can go through this. So here if you see, I'm starting completely from zero JavaScript. Once we're done with the JavaScript, we will enter into the TypeScript. And once we're done with the TypeScript, then we will start with React.js. And it is very huge syllabus, guys. It's completely from zero to advanced level. From completely basic, that is zero level, to advanced level, I'm going to cover. So in case if you are interested, then you guys can join. If you are not interested, just ignore this part. And as I have mentioned, today's workshop notes you are going to receive here. So let me provide that workshop notes as well. So workshop notes you are going to get from here. I have given the link. The moment you click on that link, here I'm going to update one more folder. In that folder, you will see the Git and GitHub complete notes. So save this link with you. And after 5 minutes, you will see the updated notes here as well. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to share, guys. And next part, whatever things are pending in our GitHub and asynchronous JavaScript workshop, that we will cover in the next weekend. So I'm going to share this paint file, and whatever PDF I have shared, I have shown you that PDF I am going to share with you. Yeah. So that's all, guys, for today's session. Remaining things we will discuss in the next weekend.